Hello and welcome, I am Raziel. So, it's October, we've got 2 months to Christmas, so they're announcing their Christmas stuff. It is what it is at this point in time, not worth complaining about. We've not had Halloween yet, we've got 2 months till Christmas, so they're going to start showing off their Christmas stuff. Some are already selling, and so let's just talk about this, because I think it's a kind of interesting conversation to have. It's Friday, it's time for a bit of fun, and joviality or joviality or however you wish to pronounce that certain word, and let's have a talk. Now, the Red Gobbo is kind of the weakest one out of all of them. Now, it's not a bad model. I'm not saying it's a bad model. It's raison d'etre. The reason for being is it's an ornament, and that's kind of what puts me off it the most of the time. It's something that you bring out every year for Christmas and nothing else. It's just there to look pretty on your shelf, or like I said, come out once a year so you can, have this ornament. It's fine. It is fine for what it is. Okay? It's absolutely okay. I have no issues. I'm just saying that's what it is. But when it comes to wargaming, there will be some sort of more game attached to it, and that's fine as well. It's a fine looking model. I think it's a bit too serious. Now, this sounds like a really weird complaint, because I'm going to be showing you some other stuff, because Christmas is meant to be festive, but he kind of looks a bit too serious. A bit, not even dark, grim dark, just sensible. Like, he doesn't look like a fun model. He looks like he's angry, he's grimacing. There's no joy in this model. It's fine, it looks good, not complaining, just saying that's kind of what I see from it. It doesn't look like an enjoyable model. Not something you'd have out for Christmas especially. Though that's being said, when Mantic comes around, they did Barroom Brawl last year as well. And this year they got another one out called Deep Space Pest Control. And this is the sort of thing I would think would be better as a Christmas thing, something for Christmas. Reason being, it's an advent calendar. They're both advent calendars, so you're building your game up during the year. You get plastic models in it, so you get to play. You get to paint and build these models before Christmas Day, and when Christmas Day comes around, there you have a game ready to play straight away. And I think that's actually a kind of good idea. I think this is nice. This really has a nice bit of festivity. Barroom Brawl especially, because, people getting drunk at Christmas, and instead of fighting over Monopoly, they can fight over this, but with dice and not throwing the board at people. I mean, you probably still could, but, And it's more designed for a family, like more than one person. So it's like it says, 2 to 4 players. And yeah, you get some nice models, but they always hide some every year because Mantic like to do this. But you get some nice models. You get this, terrain. You get the tokens, the dice, etc. You get everything you need, and that's kind of cool. Now, I would honestly say my preference would be with Deep Space, mainly because, well, it's science fiction. I prefer science fiction over fantasy. I've never pretended anything else. But also, given that, the other reason is it uses the Vermin. I like the Vermin. I think they're one of the fun factions within Firefight, as well as the Ratkin within Kings of War. Mind you, I also like the Skaven in Warhammer Fantasy Battles, so take my more of a enjoying of the Ratkin types and fantasy. So again, this is something else. But this one can be played by 1 or 2 players. Again, quite interesting. I think it takes a very, how can I put it? More like a Space Hulk way, because you're sealing up hatches, you're stopping the vermin coming in, etc. And it's either 2 players or on your own. Both work pretty well, and again, it's nice and enjoyable for people to get on Christmas, for Christmas, opening up their game and, setting it out bit by bit until their game is finished. Now, let's go back to this. This is the MFG Kraken. This is their last year's Christmas one, because we're going to talk about last year, which means, well, Parabellum Games have, of course, just announced their Halloween edition of the MFG. And I like this. Again, it's a bit, this is a bit sillier. This is more Christmassy. It's a sillier model. It's fun, but again, it is just going to be an ornament. And it does, of course, have its small game attached, but it's not really to be used within the main game itself. I mean, it is what it is. And again, it's another lovely looking model, and it's a model you bring out for Christmas. And that's it. And that's all I can really say. I mean, it is a nice model, but this one to me is a bit more sillier, a bit more funny to have for Christmas. It reminds me of those funny Christmas cards you'd get every year from that fun family member who thought they were funny but really aren't. And again, this is just, it is an ornament. It's to come out every year for Christmas, then put on your shelf or on your tree or whatever. And it looks nice. But this one I prefer to Red Gobbo because this one's a bit more sillier and looks like it'll be a bit more fun on a Christmas tree or the shelf, like I said. And finally, now, Warcradle have been doing these ones for a couple of years now. These are Wild West Exodus minis. They come out every year, sort of thing. You have three for Wild West Exodus and one for Mythos. And they give us the Mythos one. We'll come to him in a minute. Now, these, even though they are very much Christmas themed, which is fine, I like them, I think they look really nice, and they have the usual Warcradle high standard of design and sculpting. This is one of the reasons I say Warcradle definitely make the best models. Just look at the sculpting on Marjorie Navidad there. It's absolutely brilliant. It doesn't have to be silly or Christmassy, though it does have the silly elements. The robot of the Blacktooth now all decked out for Christmas, especially with the new antlers. And of course you have the wreath on her shield. It has that kind of festive, very festive side of it. Though the difference between this one and the Red Gobbo and the MFG is of course that you can use her in any game. She is not just for Christmas, she is for life. And I think that's what actually stands this one out the most, well, the whole three of them actually, because you can use them in, of course, Wild West Exodus throughout the year. And they're not just there to come out for Christmas. You can just keep them in your army and have a nice fun centerpiece or different model in your army rather than having what's just in their posses. And to me that's a lot better in my opinion. Of course she is part of Conquistadors and she's an outlaw, so you can use them for you guys. Then you have Krampus Rex, which I just totally flew past. Again, another nice looking model. Really cool looking. You can use him in Wild West Exodus. I believe he looks like he's in a hex, obviously, because he's like a monster. And yeah, again, nice and festive. Bit more dialed back than the other one, but looks like Krampus. Instead of his big sack on the back, he has a canister. And this is a very nice touch. Seeing the little children, this is dark as you can make it. That's little children's hands in his little canister on the back. Very dark. Kind of fits with the Krampus theme. Again, it is very Christmassy. Last is Carl the Red and White, basically Santa Claus. Again, these models can be played throughout the year, and they have that. So, unlike the Red Gobbo and the MFG, I'm not saying they're bad models. They come out once a year. You can either have these out once a year, or you can, of course, play them throughout the year. And I would like to see these come out again this year. And finally, you got Morosco, basically Jack Frost. There's two versions of him. It's for Mythos, not just not Wild West Exodus. And again, very nice. And you can use them about a year. And actually, believe it or not, I think what's really cool about this one, he actually fits. He's not really that Christmassy because he's basically Jack Frost. You can play him in any game. He's not going to fit. He's not going to be particularly standoutish compared to Marjorie Navidad. Anyway, what did you guys think of this video? I hope you all have a good one. I know it's Christmas already. Bloody hell. Doing Christmas video already. Anyway, the first two were actually news out today, so I thought I'd share them, but I want to give Warcradle their shout because they make good models and they make good Christmas ones. And I, of course, I've got to give Power Venom's Games out a shout out as well, because again, Conquest make good models. Anyway, if you wish to save money on your wargaming, as you can see, look, I'm just going to bit of shilling here. Look, this one's still out, and you get 10% off. Whaling Games. Isn't that cool? But unfortunately, because it's 80p, you're going to have to pay for delivery. But you can just buy a pot paint or something. Do not pay delivery if it goes over the higher price. It's something I always say. It's something I think is always right. I mean, but don't go, if you don't want to pay the extra for delivery, but make sure you don't pay, don't like buy two big things just to get a free delivery. If something's like 20 quid, just buy a pot of paint or something, just to, instead of paying for delivery, if the pot of paint is less than the delivery. If the delivery is cheaper, just go delivery. Anyway, so Whaling Games for that. And as well as all your other cool wargaming up to 20% off and free delivery after £20, as it says there. Free delivery after £20. There is also Forbidden Planet for your comics, DVDs, mangas, all that cool, nice, geeky stuff that everyone loves. There's my comics, my merchandise, Skyforge, never get Skyforge, he's a good friend of mine. And finally, oh, Patreon, because business, bye-bye.